Hi and welcome to Safe Driver Training. My name is William Grants, and in this video we'll show you how to fill out a logbook entries for cumulative work period. Like anything else, every skill takes time to master. This video will help you to refresh your knowledge or train you how to use a logbook in New Zealand. Remember that the basic information you must show in your logbook page is the start time, finish time, location for all work and rest periods. I have also filled the optional totals for the cumulative work day and the cumulative work period, although these fields are not compulsory to fill in. If you want, you can do this too. It can be helpful for you and your employer to track your work hours you have remaining in your cumulative work period. It's a first day back after a couple of days off, so you need to write that at the top of your sheet, along with your name, the time this page starts, noon or midnight, and the date this page starts. You arrive at work at Petone, Hard City at 6:30 a.m. You check your truck and load it. At 7:30 a.m. you're ready to head north. You fill in your truck license plate number and a hub odometer reading, plus the suburb and the city name. You can't just put the city name for big urban areas. You make several deliveries along the Kapiti coast and then continue heading to Palmerston North. You pull over for 5 minutes to grab a drink and check the load security. Don't write this in your logbook unless your company requires you to do so. You continue driving until you arrive to Palmerston North city centre at 12 o'clock. You have to wait for an hour to unload and reload your truck. Waiting for your load counts as a work time. However, you decide to have 30 minutes break while waiting. This can be counted as a rest break as long as you are not doing any work. Remember that you must have at least 30 minutes break every 5.5 hours you work. But you don't have to wait until the 5.5 hours is up to take it. Update your logbook throughout your workday. Don't be in a hurry and tell yourself you'll do it later. It only takes a couple of minutes to make an entry. And you never know when you'll be asked to present your logbook. You must enter the location of your rest break. In this case, you are in a city centre, Palmerston North. But you don't need to write the activity you did while resting, as you can see it in activity grid table. You can fill in the distance if you want, but as you are driving the same truck back, you don't need to unless your company requires it to. You supervise your load from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. You check your vehicle and head back to Petone to do local deliveries. At 4 p.m. you arrive to Petone and complete some local deliveries in Hard City. We do not need to mention it in our logbook as it all counts as work time. At 5:15 p.m. you arrive back at the Petone depot. You park, lock up the truck and complete day's run paperwork. Completing the paperwork associated with work counts as work time. You finish your records at 5:30. You must record your location and hub odometer reading. Let's record our total hours at the bottom of our logbook page. You've done 5.5 hours on the way there and 5 hours on the way back, which makes total of 10.5 hours. Write this on your sheet. You're well under the maximum hours for the day. Record 0 in the previous totals for the cumulative work period as it was your first day at work. Write 10.5 hours also for the total hours in the cumulative work period. You don't need to be at work tomorrow till 7 a.m. So you can fill out the time to the end of the page, plus you're meeting the requirements for at least 10-hour break before back at work again. The next day you'll be doing administration, a bit of work on a forklift and clearing a truck starting at 7 a.m. and finishing at 6 p.m. with 30 minutes break in between. Even though you're not driving, you must still fill in the logbook as the day's work will be counted towards the cumulative work period. When you drive any vehicle that requires you to complete a logbook, you must record all work and rest time undertaken that entire cumulative work period up until you have your next 24-hour break. There are 2 ways you can record this day. You can fill in the day's activities as we usually fill a logbook page with your work and rest time periods and locations, or you can fill it out in a simplified way. You need to record the following information for that day: your name, the date you worked, the start and finish time for your work you've done, the total number of hours you have worked excluding any rest breaks you have taken, and a brief description of the nature of work you did. Remember that you must comply with the work and rest time requirements even though you are not driving a vehicle. The next day, you'll be working in the yard again, starting at 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. with your 30 minutes break in between. So the 21 hours should be added to the total at the end of the sheet, so you can have 31.5 hours in total for this cumulative work period. Take care with your calculations and numbers and check everything. Accuracy counts. Following day, you start work at 6:30 at Petone Depot, Hutt City, and complete the same run you've done a couple of days ago. But at 11:50, you finish your last local delivery and swap a truck with another driver. When swapping a vehicle, you must record time, location, start and finish hub odometer reading for each of the vehicle. Conveniently, your truck swap aligned with your required 30 minutes break. So we record the time of our rest time started, location, and finish hub odometer reading for the first truck we've driven. Now we record the finish time for our rest break, location, new truck registration with hub odometer reading, and head back to our Petone depot. We record finish time for the day, location, and finish hub odometer reading. Let's say you have an alternative job working in another business. Once you have finished your driving job, then you drive to your secondary employment to start at 5 p.m. at Ellistown, Hutt City. Record start time and the location for the secondary job. The hour it takes you between finishing your driving job and starting your secondary employment is classified as a break if you are heading to a base. Fill in your other job on the logbook page. Remember that you can only work up to another 3.5 hours in your secondary employment, as you have started your driving job at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Start time plus 2 equals finish time for the day. So 6:30 start plus 2 equals 8:30 p.m. You must finish all work activities by 8:30 p.m. and take required 10-hour break. Record your finish time and the location. Work out the hours we worked and add it to the optional totals for the cumulative work day and cumulative work period. We have worked 12.5 hours plus previous hours we worked equals 44 hours total for this cumulative work period so far. In this scenario, I showed you how to record your logbook entries when swapping a truck, as well as simplified way of recording non-driving work days and other parallel employment. Remember that you need to keep a record of all work and rest time in your logbook, regardless whether you work for more than one employer, even if one of those employers isn't involved in a transport service. As always, safe driving to you.